Welcome everybody to the GSC Invitational. Now, my apologies for being so late, but as some of you might know, my week 7 video got deleted, so we're doing it again. And we got Keshba versus Seanobiwan in this particular bracket. I just wanted to show you where we've gotten so far, because Conflict had defeated his opponent and Estuardo defeated his back in loser's bracket round 6, whereas Keshba was defeated by Underlying and Seanobiwan was defeated by Elodin. So this is round 7, and we're gonna go straight to it. Loser's side. Gentrifier Bird, Seanobiwan always with the crazy names, forcing out that eggy lead, bringing in the Raikou, and immediately getting a para. Ice Spice. Old Spice body wash. But it looks like he's going to go straight to Rocky. Okay. Gets surfed on, and it is an all-out attacking tar with a T-Bolt dealing heaps of damage to the Cloister. Going to follow up with a Rock Slide just to secure a little more damage there. Taking out the Cloister. In comes Vaporeon from Maestro's side, and we do see, so far Maestro might look like he has a, he could have a Steelix, but I feel like he would have a Golem in the back just because of convention. And whereas on Seanobiwan's side, we don't know. We see a Thief Eggy. Thief is really nice, offers a lot of support to special offense, because usually those things that they target are indeed special walls like Lax and whatnot. In comes the Golem as predicted by me. So, Spiky Hole, okay. So I guess we're not in the Irish nationalism theme. Golem goes for Earthquake. Okay, and Spikes. Now Spikes are on either side. Will Seanobiwan be able to hold on to it? Will it even matter? We don't really know just yet, but the Spikes at the very least do force Lax to make some early rests and whatnot. Doesn't look like Seanobiwan has a spinner on his side. Keshba's definitely going to go for a spin here. Okay, so there is a spinner. All right. Ultimate Frisbee. I like the name. I like it. Okay, so Seanobiwan is going to permanently remove the Spikes from his side of the field, and we haven't yet seen how this is going to play out in terms of normal resists. So he goes to Zapdos, only to double straight to Cloister. Okay, interesting. Keshba setting up with Curse. Goes for the Toxic. Cloister is really tanky. Going to be able to withstand 2 hits, no more. As he goes to Steelix. Okay. Now this team is starting to make a lot more sense. So we have the spinner, we have the offensive Tar, and a Steelix. So maybe... Oh, and the Lovely Kiss. Nice Lovely Kiss there. Is it 4 attacks? No, it's not 4 attacks. Is it 3 attacks is the question. Vaporeon coming right in. Oh, see, that Spike would have actually helped kill the Cloy. Now the Cloy can just set off an explosion here. As Maestro goes to his Lax. So that kind of gives me the impression that it wasn't a rest. He was like, okay, it's going to die anyways, so I'm just going to try and win this with Raikou. I think that's what I feel, at least. Gonna go for the rest. Lax comes in, and there is a Golem staring down this Lax. It's Double Edge and Rest Talk. We don't know anything else. Could, although I feel like it would be EQ, or maybe something like Thunder or Fire Blast. T-Wave, but not paralyzing anything. The Starmie has to go out without the recovery there. Back into Lax. Thunder misses. That's too bad because the Thunder could potentially 3-hit KO this Lax. Granted, this one doesn't have leftovers anymore. And it is Earthquake, yes. But that's good, because every amount of chip is going to stick, and that just makes Vaporeon's life a lot easier. I predict a Raikou switch in here. Yes. I mean, we're not... When I say predict, I'm not saying it like I'm trying to toot my own horn here. It's pretty obvious. Okay, and there is a Thunder. Now, it's just a solid 2-hit KO there. But the question is, do you want to stay in as the Lax rests, or do you want to do something else? You never know. You never know. As long as the Lax can come in, it's going to be able to deal some damage. Ultimate Frisbee. So he's taking his chances here, but a crit could really skew the thing into Keshba's favor. Keshba, whom I hadn't mentioned earlier, is GSC Maestro. So, Golem. This is a lot of rinse and repeat going on this first game. It is a best of 3. Of course, Starmie doesn't really have great odds against Vaporeon, unless it's packing Thunder, which it isn't. Vaporeon could attempt to force its way through. We already saw a game won that way in one of the previous sets, but I don't think that's what we want to do, considering the game state. Ice Spice. Very nice. Hope he doesn't have no lice. And he goes for a double edge, no dice. And the question is, how long will Keshba be able to hold on here? Rocky. Revealed so far, Rock Slide and T-Bolt, nothing more. And Keshba's going to go to the safe switch of Vaporeon here. 1, because it progresses, but 2, because it's probably Rest Talk, so it's going to come in just fine, relatively. Raikou can 3-hit KO the bird. Of course, eventually, yes, Seanobiwan will have to bring in the Steelix, the Clavicular. Even though I wouldn't call Steelix I wouldn't say that any of its parts are clavicles, unless you consider the spikes coming out of its back. Vaporeon goes for a Surf, and it's just going to be rinse and repeat for a while until something can happen. Such is the life of the GSCer. Gentrifier Bird is going to rest and go to Clavicular, hoping to wake up. We do see that it is Hidden Power Ice, so that's going to deal some nice chip. And the Steelix wakes up, booms, and leaves. Okay, Vaporeon. Vaporeon's going to set up. It's not quite the ideal set for this particular matchup. However, the Surf is actually going to do the trick. It's going to put this Lax into range. Seanobiwan's going to have to sacrifice the Tar. That also kind of lets Golem come in more freely to boom later. Zapdos going to threaten out the Vaporeon. And now it's 3v3, only this time Seanobiwan doesn't have a good answer to Raikou anymore. So like I said, something indeed happened. And it's never fun to have to 1v1 the Raikou. Sleep Talk gets a Hidden Power. He's going to need something a little stronger than that. And he gets it, which means Raikou wakes up next turn, and Zapdos and Starmie are going to have to hold on to their lives here. And once they get rid of Raikou, should they even manage to somehow do that, how are they going to face the rest? If Zapdos goes down, Raikou isn't the only problem, Vaporeon is. So this is pretty much Dunzo unless he can outstall the coup. The coup d'etat. Raikou with a solid 3-hit KO all the time, anytime. It has Hidden Power Ice and Thunder. With T-Bolt, it's not, or Hidden Power Water, it's not as definitive. There's a crit Hidden Power. In comes Ultimate Frisbee, but no Nightmare. So there's just no odds of breaking through unless he can crit and continue dodging a couple of Thunders. This doesn't look good. And he uses Rest. Keshba uses Rest, just being precautious, but that might be his undoing. We're going to see. Seanobiwan, honestly, is proving to be such a tough nut to crack. I suppose I underestimated his type of stall, but he is demonstrating that he's pretty proficient at offense too. The Surf takes down the Golem, but that's probably the least valuable piece. Of course, it would have been nice to set off a Boom. Raikou. That might actually have been a little bit of a misplay earlier, not bringing the Golem in on the Zapdos and just exploding. But that's okay, because he still has this. It's a minor misplay. It's only a misplay if it comes back to bite you in the ass. Starmie. Okay, Maestro is just... Keshba is just saving his PP. Of course, the Thunder would Oko, but he's not even opting to burn those turns. He doesn't want to risk the crit. He knows he can just do this, so he's taking the long route, but this is actually minimizing any hacks that should kill him. Sleep Talk. Okay, he can click Thunder here. He'd be safe. Oh, and just as I say that. Okay, but he lands the Thunder, which Okos. Thunder always Okos. T-Bolts only sometimes. Raikou. Actually, it might not even. So that base power matters a lot, but that doesn't matter in the scope of this particular 1v1. Seanobiwan is going to forfeit this game. So we're going to move on to the next one, and Keshba is on the board. All right. Game 2. Seanobiwan has to win. He leads with his bullshit tree. And immediately pulls off some bullshit by exploding turn 1. That's really cool. Exploding turn 1 is sometimes frowned upon when done for the wrong reasons. And at this level, we should expect that there is a good reason to do something like that. And it's not just going to be, oh, well, you know, I had a Vaporeon and whatever. You have a plan to take out the Lax and to make something happen. So we're going to see just what that is. Fori goes for the Toxic as the Cloyster gets his Surf and his Spike. Get Mogged. Ooh, okay. Get Mogged coming in on that Fori and right on the same turn that Keshba switches to Starmie, forcing in the Lax. As Seanobiwan reveals his 8-Ball. Does that mean it's the key to victory here? 8-Ball. Going to spin away the Spikes first. And then in comes Get Mogged once more. So from Maestro's side, it looks like it could be something along the lines of a Nightmare Starmie team. There might be a Golem, right? It could be that form of offense. It's still a bit soon to say, but Starmie Fori on offense isn't something you see all the time. And Seanobiwan, we still don't know. But yeah, I feel like it could be Nightmare Starmie. Lax is going to full para, which gives a bit of an advantage here. There's that spike. Starmie hasn't revealed any attacking moves. Just going to go for that spin, getting toxic. Now, the fact that Cloister didn't just straight up explode here means that there's no Machamp in the back. England fans. Oh, so there is a hint of Irish nationalism there. That's the Seanobiwan we love. And just Nidoking, just straight up fucking Nidoking. They named everybody, and then the last one just, nah, I didn't feel like it. What the hell? All right, Nidoking. Nidoking Eggy is not something you see every day, Chloe. Reason being, because they have a bit of a hard time pressuring Sleep Talk Lax. But Seanobiwan must have a strategy in mind. There must be a reason for that there. England fans is going to come in. Each time England fans comes in against Starmie, they are threatening the sanctity of this Starmie. In comes the soccer ball. Fortress. And no, we're not going to see 3 attacks Lax. It's just going to spam Earthquake. Nidoking coming in. So, Fori is nice on offense because it sometimes allows you to come in on the Nidoking. And, yeah, so, all right then. 8 ball, going to spin away, dealing 6% of chip damage. Just enough to negate those leftovers. England fans. And Nidoking, such an interesting nickname. Yeah, but due to the typing and the coverage that Nidoking has, the Fori is relatively safe to come in. I say relatively. It's important to keep that in mind because you have to consider the fact that it doesn't have a recovery move, but it can live just long enough to heal. To pull off a move. The Lax didn't do anything. 8 ball switches, and England fans comes in again. Starmie using recover just to negate all that bit of progress that had been made until now. Hold on 1 second, folks. Fori comes in. Okay, so England fans, okay, we see another Mon revealed that is a Steelix. Okay, so not a Golem as we expected, but it's going to immediately explode, letting its presence be known. That seems to play in the favor of the Starmie, and there is a Machamp, so Licks Champ 40. That's kind of interesting. I can't say I've seen that before, although it shouldn't be unheard of, but it plays out nicely, and there is the Fire Blast. So there's the mix-up move that Seanobiwan was bringing. Okay, so the 8 ball Lax. Lax with Sleep Talk calls upon Earthquake, dealing some damage, brings the Fori in on the 8 ball, meaning Keshba's gonna be able to keep his spikes and eat them too. Machamp, this is looking pretty scary now for both players. Neither have a normal resist left. Starmie is out of the picture, so that actually leverages the Nidoking, allowing it to come in just fine on the Machamp. Does Seanobiwan have another move up his sleeve? Or is he just going to hope for RNG to do its thing? England fans is going to come in against its doppelganger. All right. And each time Machamp comes in, Seanobiwan's Lax comes in, it's going to deal hefty amounts of damage. The Machamp, though, on the other hand, is going to have a hard time. It goes for a cross chop. Does get a crit, so that's going to help. We don't know if this Nidoking's Lovely Kiss or not. And we haven't seen any sleep move on the Eggy earlier because it just exploded. And it's going to stay in. This is a really scary turn. Double edge. Nidoking is just going to be able to survive. And that is actually huge because the lax is down. No, I mean, sorry. I got ahead of myself. The lax is in range. That's what I meant to say. I apologize to the viewers. Okay, then. That's been... And Seanobiwan wins the speed tie, and now he has to do something really simple, which is dodge 2 cross chops. Okay. Or crit. Yeah. Oh my god. Oh, Lord. Oh, God. Oh, my God. I think when the games become higher stakes, the RNG begins to matter way more. Seanobiwan clutches out game 2. He is still in this. Keshba is sweating now. Game 3. Snorlax vs. Zap. Immediate crit. Double edge recoil. Okay. Maestro is going to go to Fori. He's going to get his spike. In comes Cloyster. We're going to see if this plays out differently. Are we going to see a Giga Drain? We see a Toxic. Okay. Toxic on the Cloy. And it's Rapid Spin. Okay, that could indicate a Marowak in the back for support. Blissey. Okay. Still chances of a Marowak. Zapdos. It could just be a fat team, a fat stall team. Lax is going to come in. Heal belling the Cloyster, so that Toxic was for, well, it wasn't quite for nothing, but... Skarm, okay. Maybe it's rollout Snorlax. Which means that Maestro better have a rock resist. We do see the Starmie, so it's looking similar to the previous game. Starmie Fori offense. There's an Umbreon, okay. So it's just looking like a classic stall this far. Not a do-nothing one. One that is quite equipped for the Spikes War. Cloyster is going to go for the Toxic. Okay. Yeah. In comes the Lax. And there is a T-Tar. That's not a normal resist. There's Seismic Toss. Okay, well, Seismic Toss doesn't really indicate rollout, but Seismic Toss Lax. Extremely rare. Only Seanobiwan has used this from my recollection. I had never seen it before this tournament. And previously it was used by him. Cloyster getting poisoned. Now, unless this Fori has another move, it's going to be hard to pressure it. It's going to be hard to pressure that Cloy. Starmie's going to come in, but it does get Toxic. So, Maestro, seeing as he has an offense team, the Fori probably doesn't have Rapid Spin. Cloyster gets Toxic, but also in turn manages to Toxic the Starmie. Now, Maestro is going to take advantage of this opportunity to go to his Fori and then double out to scout for a Flamethrower, which Seanobiwan indeed has. Then he's going to go to his Skarmory on the Lax. And we know that it's a Whirlwind Skarm, with Drill Peck, no less. This could be interesting. The reveal of Drill Peck could be interesting. Now, Drill Peck isn't something you want to have if your opponent has a mixed T-Tar. But he does have an Umbreon too, that's true. Anyways, they both chip each other down. Then the Umbreon and the Fori come in. Back in comes the Cloy. Are we going to see an attack? We see straight Gengar. Okay. No wish to stay in with the Fori there. Gengar is just simply going to force out the Cloy. In comes the Umbreon. Lax is going to rest up. Of course, we got to watch out for what this Umbreon might have. There is a Charm. Lax is going to rest. Could you imagine if this were Mean Look? That would be crazy. In comes Blissey on the Lax turn. But it turns out that it comes right when Maestro went to the Zapdos. Blissey's going to go for the second Heal Bell. And, you know, almost everyone has been revealed thus far. Drill Peck, okay. Zapdos. So... and Zapdos gets another crit, but the Lax is just out of range. Just out of range. No matter, T-Char is going to come in, and it's going to show what it can do. Rock Slide misses. This Umbreon is a little bit annoying. So Maestro is going to go to Zapdos just because it has Rest Talk, so it doesn't have to worry about Toxic or Pursuit. And there's a Quagsire, so not quite a Marowak, but yes, a very threatening ground type. That can Belly Drum and will. Uh-oh, Fori, better boom. Oh no, and Seanobiwan just stays in. Okay. Umbreon, I don't know. So, interesting turn. I'm going to yap a moment and say that this Quagsire had a really, really good matchup. However, the problem is that Seanobiwan didn't really have many answers for that Fori. Because he doesn't have a Ghost type, and he only has one normal resist, which could be too overloaded. So if he had gone to Skarmory, then he might have lost all of his fundamental pieces to win out the long game. And what's more, he would have lost his normal resist, and Maestro would have been able to pressure with Lax. The only other option I could see here was either going to Cloyster or to Umbreon, but then you lose your ability to cause pressure because he doesn't have a spin blocker. And he'd lose his Pursuit Trapper. So he stayed in on the boom. We're going to see if that was the right call. Gengar coming in. And we're yet to see what this Gengar is capable of. Now with Seismic Toss on the Snorlax, it's not going to be able to touch the Gengar at all. But, and this is where the creativity comes. Seanobiwan stays in, trying to call out Maestro for his aggressive play, because he knows that the ball is in the defensive line's court right now. Maestro is the one that's going to have to force Seanobiwan to switch. He can't just assume that. And what a beautiful double. After already calling out the Zapdos earlier, which was supposed to come in on Umbreon, he now successfully brings in the Pursuit Trapper on Gengar. And now Gengar has to create some play, use Hypnosis. Hypnosis is pretty strong against Stall. And Seanobiwan doubles back to his Lax. He manages to absorb the sleep. And he's going to go straight back to Umbreon again, which I find really interesting. Very interesting. And Keshba's going to boom, so that means that he loses his spin blocker. So if Cloyster manages to come in again, it will manage to spin those spikes away. And now this Seismic Toss is actually looking pretty powerful because It deals fixed amount of damage. Gar is out of the picture. And normal resists don't have permanent recovery. Or at least the remaining one. There's a curse. I don't think it's rest. Curse is actually pretty good, though. Curse is good in this particular matchup. So good on Keshba to bring that. He is going to have to attack, though. Oh, not like this, man. He misses. And he stays in. And the reason he stays... Oh, he does have rest. Okay, well, he can live a little longer. He can live a little longer. Now, unfortunately for him, that also means he's going to have to forfeit the spike. But he could still win with Tar. He could definitely win with Tar. Cloister actually going for Surf here. He knows that he can spin later. Starmie uses Recover. Is Keshba going to spin? Yes, he is. Ooh, a critical hit rapid spin. Riveting damage. And the Lax deals double-edged damage. The Starmie doesn't want to stay in because if you stay in on a Lax, Lax deals upwards of 50, 55% with the poison on top of that. That just means that you're going to end up worse off than as you started. So no point clicking Recovery there. It's actually a bad option. You're just fishing for getting crit. So T-Tar comes in on the double edge. And he burnt a second turn of sleep. He should wake up the next coming one. And I find that interesting because earlier the Cloister did not stay in to spike. It clicked the Surf there. And it didn't click spikes or rapid spin because at the end of the day, it was facing Starmie. And if Starmie chipped it down, then that would be Seanobiwan's only answer for this Tar. Rest Tar. Rest Tar with probably also Roar. So Keshba is actually looking pretty good here. Of course, he needs the Rock Slides to connect. So finally we see a Rock Slide hitting. Okay. And now he's going to have to rest back up? No, he doesn't do that. He goes for the Rock Slide. Okay. Okay, he switches out. Sure. Trying to pressure there. But he's going to have to bring the Tar back in eventually. So this is kind of iffy. Uh-oh. He stayed in with the Lax. Chloe comes in. If it gets that spike off, that's a problem. Because then he won't have his win con. Okay, but Seanobiwan first, he decides to spin. Okay. And Cloister is really low now. Really low. And that's not going to be helpful for Seanobiwan. Keshba's managing to put a lot of pressure right now. I didn't even comment on the fact that this Snorlax has Surf, which, frankly, it's not very strong, but it's a reasonable 5-hit KO on the Skarmory. Special attacks are pretty decent against Skarmory, so even from the abysmal special attack of Lax. Zapdos comes in, finally makes its appearance again, and in comes the Blissey. Blissey, though, I don't know. I'm not really sure what this Blissey can do. Yeah, Flamethrower for Chip. Wall the Zapdos. That's pretty much the objective here. Wall the Zapdos. Make it expend the PP. Gets a nice crit. Dealing actually decent damage with that crit Flamethrower there. Man, shoutouts to Gorgie, who had Psych Up Blissey, which is really cool. Anyways, Blissey showing up this tournament. Lax. Oh, and there's Present. Okay. Yeah, Present isn't going to do diddly squat against Snorlax. It's not really good against physical attackers. Now, for reference, it's good against special attackers as long as they don't have a secondary typing that is a physical type. That's to say, normal, flying, rock, ground, steel, fighting, and bug, and ghost. But ghost is immune to Present, so. Alright. So that Surf could actually be a problem. crit and all that. Skarmory not staying in to use rest, interestingly enough. Goes to Blissey. Okay. Did Seanobiwan bring a no-rest Skarm? He's trying to outstall Lax with Blissey. What's going on? What's going through this man's head? He goes to Skarm right on the rest turn there. Okay, that's interesting. Is this a protect? No, he just did that to do it. That's insane. This guy is unpredictable. And it's a good kind of unpredictable though. It's paying off. He goes to Blissey again. What on earth? What on earth is going on? Seanobiwan is a madman. He's potentially jeopardizing his whole tournament here by going to Blissey on the Lax. Is he going to be able to withstand all of those double edges with soft-boiled? If he gets one crit, it's over. Well, it's not over, but it's pretty bad. Okay. My question is, are you really willing to do this? To go the distance like that? He's actually managing to out-recover the damage from the double edge. Wow. And that's paying off because there's only 11 double edges left. That might not even be enough to sweep, to break the team. So that could be really useful. Of course, if you can get that spike later, that would be even more useful. But this is so scary. There's so many double edges coming. Blissey's just tanking all of them. This isn't even a unique set. It's just Blissey just being fat. This is not even about GSC anymore. This is about who is the fatter normal type. This is about status. This is a different agenda. I don't think this is the place to do that, but he's doing it. He's clicking present, which does 4% on the Lax. Of course, it could OHKO the Starmie, but Starmie isn't coming in right now. Maestro's had enough. Present even healed the Zapdos. Man, this set is long, but it's actually kind of interesting. All right. What are we going to see next? Another crit flamethrower. Oh, man. Crit flamethrower present, man. That's kind of an interesting combo. I mean, Blissey with flamethrower makes sense. Because it can OHKO 40. So. And it can hurt Steelix. Zapdos just kind of staying in. I mean, at this point, right? Maestro is just like, what the hell? This man actually stayed in on my Lax, and I'm out of PP. I'm going to Zapdos, and Zapdos dies. Zapdos fucking dies. It was rest talk. What is going on? Drill Peck crit. Let's go. Oh, no, it's not Sleep Talk. Okay. It's Whirlwind. We saw that earlier. Okay, look at that damage. Rock Slide, man. In comes the Lax. All right, it's now or never. Surf. He needs a crit. He's going to go to his Tar. He could maybe curse. We haven't seen the fourth move, but money says it's Roar. Oh, and he goes to Blissey. I don't think that was a good play. Why did he go to Blissey? Why did he switch out of Blissey? Why is Blissey so feared right now? I'm confounded. I'm not saying it's bad. I just don't see what is going through these two players' heads. What am I missing here? I don't understand letting the Zapdos die, the staying in on the Lax, the Rock Slide with all the PP, it's recovering, it should be able to sweep. What is going on? Okay, Curse. You could technically Whirlwind. Okay. Starmie. Recover. Okay. Because at this point, there's no telling what these madmen will do. Okay, Lax on Lax. Lax on Lax violence. Alright. Tar. Tar is slower. Okay. No, please don't make us watch another 80 turns of this. I was liking it better when I was confused. Okay, Starmie can't stay in on Blissey. So, Seanobiwan knows this, so he goes to Skarm. Is he going to click Drill Peck? He clicks Curse. Okay. That makes it slower than the Tar, so now the Tar can't click Roar. See, it fails because the slower Roar / Whirlwind wins. In Gen 2 only. In Gen 3, that already has been patched out, and so the faster Whirlwind wins. Yeah. Okay, goes for a raw Rock Slide on a +2 Skarm. Now it's actually looking kind of bad. Okay. Ooh. Are we going to see a Skarmory sweep? Okay, Starmie with the Reflect. Wow, Keshba has a very deep bag. Surf. Look at all the damage that Surf does to Skarmory. Skarmory's not very specially tanky. Skarmory goes for another Curse, interestingly enough, and switches out. Starmie manages to threaten out the Skarm. Of course, with Reflect, you don't want to use Curse on the T-Tar because of the defense rollover. Surf. Okay, this is pretty bad. He kind of has to stay in and click Surf. Seanobiwan goes for another Curse. That's kind of risky because a crit could mean the end. Okay, he can't even phase out the Skarm. Does Keshba know he can't phase out the Skarm? He's going to click Curse. Yeah, but still. He clicks Roar, and as we see, it fails. Even though Skarmory is asleep, Skarmory wakes up, uses Whirlwind. Skarmory could even... The thing about Roar is Roar fails even in the situation where the target is asleep and couldn't technically get the Roar off themselves. So if my Skarmory is slower than your T-Tar, and you click Roar, and I click Roar, the game registers that I clicked Roar, and so I would go after, even though mine, I'm not waking up. And so your Roar fails. Anyways. Skarm. And now it's kind of threatening because it's dealing nearly a quarter damage to T-Tar of all things. So imagine how much it would be dealing versus Starmie and Lax. It looks like we're actually set up to see a Skarmory sweep, it dealing 53% to the Snorlax. We don't know until we see it. We don't know until we see it, folks. We don't know. Whirlwinds out the Tar. Tar is eventually going to run out of curses and is not going to be able to withstand that Skarmory. Oh, and the crit. Tar is faster, though. Tar is faster. It can rest. If I'm Seanobiwan, what do? I go for another one? Okay. What? Why not another curse? Yep, there it is. Skarmory's attack isn't particularly high, so I don't think it's capped. He's going for another. Indeed, he's reading my mind, even though this game happened 3 weeks ago. Okay, so whirlwind, I guess. Maestro in vain trying to call out Seanobiwan, hoping Seanobiwan might just slip up, but that's not what happens. That's the only way. And there's another crit. 6-7. Oh my god, everything is going on in this game. It's annoying. And the Lax. Lax is definitely going to die, I think. Okay, Tar coming in. Now it's getting dealt around a third of its HP, so this is looking pretty bad, but it can just barely survive all those drill pegs, maybe. Unless a crit happens. Maestro's going to wake up this turn. This is really putting a lot of punishment on the Tar. Forced to stay in here. You can't even click Roar. Just has to kind of hang in there. I mean, we've seen a Blissey survive a whatchamacallit, a Snorlax this long. The rock resistance helps. How many drill pecks are left? Quite a few. Tar coming back. Okay, and now the attack is definitely capped, or at least at the very top it could possibly be. Starmie. Starmie goes down. Clicks Reflect, dies. Okay. How many curses are left? 6 curses. Exactly 6. Of course, now is not a time to forfeit your momentum. Yes, he could spike later, but right now is action time. He's just trying to kind of outlast that Reflect, which will be gone soon, and then he's going to continue with his onslaught, because he only has 12 drill pecks left. His attack is maxed, but 12... The question is, can the Tar last 12 drill pecks? We're not sure. There is one curse. Skarmory whirlwinds out. Another drill peck incoming. Tar can't click a curse this time. Okay, it's in range of a 3-hit KO. There's one, even after lefties. There's a second one. 37. He should die here. And there it is. Wow. Skarmory sweep. Even a crit won't save him now. 73%. Wow. Okay. That was nearly an hour. Okay, folks. Holy shit. Keshba will be eliminated. Seanobiwan moves on to week 8, which is the losers semifinals. All right. I hope that you guys have enjoyed, and see you next time. This video is so long.